Hello, friends, and welcome. It is February 2025, the beginning of February. The beginning of the year, I like to break down some basics. We got into some foundational work in January about what it's like to stand on the foundation of the feet in many poses, right? We looked at the foundation of trying to find the deepest layer of abdominals, the transversus abdominis, the core sit, I call it, and getting that to fire, and then everything else building up around that, and a few other things, but meaning we're going back to some of the basics, right? The foundations. So I want to look at the basic sun salutation. We're just going to move through it progressively. What I mean by that is we'll start with some slower movements, we'll do some modifications, and then we'll start to get into the heart of it and look at some of the motions of it and break a little bit of it down. We do, depending on how much you do yoga, not only per week, but in your lifetime, sun salutations are something we come back to over and over. So I think it's worth breaking them down a little bit. So you're just going to stand at the top of your mat, Tadasana, mountain pose. And as you stand at the top of your mat, just bringing a little bit of that footwork in from almost 4 weeks ago now, where you notice how you're standing in your feet. Is it a little bit back, forward? I'm always forward and to the left. I always share that. So I really have to shift my weight back and to the right. So where are you foundationally in your feet? Can you get all three pieces of the tripod of each foot equally weighted? Right? And then hopefully that foundation starts to build up through each of the joints and you're standing in a fairly neutral position. Check that upper back. One of the things I often see is the shoulders rolling forward on folks, right? So let's move our shoulders a little bit up and back and find that broad collarbone. Our arms are going to go forward for the first bit. And we're just going to do arms, by the way. Inhale, reach your arms up. They don't have to go all the way overhead. Try not to let the ribs move out. And then exhale, arms are going to come out and down. So essentially doing kind of a circle, right? You're going to inhale the arms forward and up, pause. Now reach more through your ring fingers, right? Whatever area you're in, whether the arms are a little forward or not. Try not to let your shoulders lift really high up to your ears. Don't box them down either, right? And double check that you're not moving the spine to try to make it seem like you're getting in the shoulders. Reach those arms out and down. One more time on the breath. Inhale, reaching through the ring fingers. Exhale, bring those arms out and down. We're going to reverse that. Turn the palms up as you reach the arms out wide to bring them over. And exhale, bring the arms forward and down. Do that again. Inhale. So again, you're really trying to isolate the spine. You elongate and then stabilize. Exhale and try to do this just from the shoulder joints. Inhale. And exhale, forward and down. Adding on. Inhale, reach those arms forward and up. Long spine. And then let the arms come out. Feel free to bend the knees. We've done next to nothing. Bring those blocks in, medium or high, I'm going to say. And have them just a little bit in front of you for this today. Come up onto palms or fingertips, right? And so instead of using the shins, we're using the blocks. That way you can really push down into the blocks and see if you can't get your body fairly parallel to the floor, right? Now, without your body physically moving forward or back, reach your buttocks bones back, reach your crown of your head forward, and hopefully the spine elongates. Keep that, right? And then exhale, soften in. Stay in the forward fold for a moment. Hands can stay on the blocks. They can also come down by the feet or whatever that is. Keep the knees a little bit bent. We haven't opened the hamstrings much. Maybe shake your head a little bit, let in yes and no. Or shoulders can move a little bit. And then come to stillness and try to hang.
Really check into the neck here. If when we're staying here for a few breaths, we're having a hard time letting it go, I can guarantee you're not letting it go anytime you do a sun salutation, right? And when we come into that forward fold twice, when our traditional sun salutations, we really want the neck to let go right here in this pose. Hands on the blocks, inhale, halfway up. Exhale, fold, the neck softens. And then inhale, reach those arms out and up. Knees can be bent, they straighten upon arrival of the arms overhead. Reach through the index fingers. Exhale, arms out and down. We're going to go forward again. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up. Exhale, fold. Knees can be bent, soften the neck. Inhale on the blocks for another time or two. Find that upper back work, right? Exhale, folding in, softening the neck. Inhale, reaching the arms out. Lengthening legs, lengthening through the ring fingers. Exhale, arms out and down. We'll just kind of keep adding on, my loves. Inhale, reach through those ring fingers. Exhale, fold. Inhale, hands on the blocks, lengthen the spine. Let's move our blocks back next to our feet now. And you're going to step your left foot back. I do have a blanket down because we're going to bring the knee down. So you might want to pad your knee for this. So again, the first one, I want to break a couple things down, then we'll move with the breath. You can uncurl your left toes, put your hands on your right thigh. So two variations. First, let your hips move forward a little bit till you feel the front of the left hip begin to lengthen. Some of us are really flexible in the way that we let our pelvis move into an anterior tilt and we kind of crush our low back. So that's that transversus abdominis work. Abdominis work. Pull your frontal hip points up. Get as much length in the low back as you can, and then move forward. My teacher always used to say, from your tailbone. Yes, everything moves with it, right? Left psoas. Now move the hips back a little bit. You might even move your right foot back till the ankle's underneath the knee. And for this one, it's a traction action. So I'm going to pull my right heel back. It's on a sticky mat. It doesn't move. I'm going to pull my left knee forward. I turn on a whole bunch of stabilizers and I get into the front of my left hip. Now reach the arms up if you would like. Hands can totally stand at high. You might move that tailbone forward if you need to move the right foot forward a little bit, but again, try to leave the traction action into it. Pull the frontal hip points up. Breathe and bring the hands down. We're going to go back to a downward dog. For the first one, flip your blocks on low. Heels of the hands on the edge closest to you. Curl the left toes under and step back. Downward facing dog. Bend those knees. And try to find that longest spine here. It's more complicated, more complex, right? But we're pushing down, not just through the heel of the hands, but through the finger pads as well. Rotate your outer upper arms. Let the neck hang, so to speak. Your ears end up between your triceps-ish. That's different for a bicep, sorry. That's different for everybody. Find that upper back. It wants to move forward. Bring the knees down this first round. And we're going to step the left foot forward. I'm going to bring my blocks up a little bit. First, we're going to go ahead and we're going to have that left foot forward, hands on the thighs, and move those hips a little forward. Notice if your tendency is to move into that anterior tilt, right? Low back crusher, if you do these over and over and over for years, right? Pull the frontal hip points up, buttocks flush down. That's the corset work we learned 3 weeks ago, I believe now. And hopefully the right psoas says, morning. Move the hips back, or maybe it's afternoon or evening for you. Maybe that left foot moves back a little bit. Now your traction action. So traction the left foot back, the right knee forward. They don't physically move, they energetically move, and all kinds of things turn on
adductors, right? Probably a little bit of pelvic floor, etc. But then also the front of the thigh might open. Maybe the arms reach up, reach through those ring fingers without your spine moving forward. Maybe the left foot moves a little forward, and then the tailbone is going to move everything forward. So still tractioning, still pulling frontal hip points up. Bring the hands down, step forward to the top of the mat. Soften in. Inhale, hands can be on blocks or shins now, but find that long spine. Exhale, fold, soft neck. Inhale, coming all the way up. Hands could totally be on hips if that's a better variation for you. Exhale, arms down. So we're not bringing that upper back bend in right now. I want to show one thing. I'll try and show a couple of things I commonly see in salutations, right? That I haven't already talked about. When we come up into Ardha Uttanasana, it's called. Often we come up and the spine looks something like this. Now, I just don't know what the benefit of this is. Why come up? What are you gaining? If you come up, even if the legs are bent or straight, but if you come up and you lengthen, right, that spinal column, so for some of us, higher hands is fine, we find that more easily. And I lengthen here and hold the weight of my body with my whole core line. That's incredibly beneficial. And then I soften and release the neck. So that's the first one. Second one I want to show you is downward dog. When people go into downward dog, the most common is that we kind of have the weight forward because we really want straight legs. We think that's what we need in downward dog. And I'm putting so much weight into my wrists and my hands right now by having my shoulder forward. My upper back is rounded in flexion, which it does all day long, sitting at screens and art and driving. So bend the knees and really try to work that upper back in and the weight shifting back. You can move to the ground a little bit, but start on the blocks because the blocks make that more accessible for a lot of bodies, right? So with that focus this time, standing at the top of your mat. Inhale. Exhale. Look for that softness in the neck for this moment. Inhale. Now look for the longest, most stabilized spine, right? And now bend your knees, plant your hands, the right leg back, right knee down, uncurl the toes. Inhale up into your crescent, traction, action, frontal hip points, so everything right off the bat. We'll stay here for one extra breath. Try not to let the ribs move forward, the spine move into what's called extension. Hands down, switch your blocks if you need to. Position the hands to step back to downward dog. So now come forward a little bit just so you feel it. The shoulders moving towards over the wrist. They don't have to be all the way over. Now bend your knees a lot. And then imagine my hands right in your hip creases, pulling your hips back as you push your hands forward in opposition. Put more weight in the finger pads for most of us. We forget that part. And then just leave the knees a little bent right now, right? Find that line in the spine. You're going to bring the knees down, and we're going to step the right foot forward. Inhale, arms forward or out to the side, come up. Traction, action in the feet. Well, the shin on the foot. Find the frontal hip points. Reach through the ring fingers without the spine moving, right? So find that in your shoulder girdle. Bring the hands down. Step forward to the top of your mat. Soften. Inhale, chest forward and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, coming all the way up to standing. Exhale, arms down. We'll do another version of this on another video where we look at that upper back bend. Inhale, reach the arms forward and up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lengthen the spine. You might move the blocks this time. You might not. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to the top of a push-up.
right? You can move that blanket or leave it there. Pardon me, I'm so sorry. Bring your knees down, but they're behind your hips. I call this half push-up, right? Half top of a push-up. Now, reach your crown of the head forward. You're kind of at an angle here, right? Because the hips are lower than the shoulders. So lengthen the spine as much as possible. Find your core sit and turn that on. And then bend your elbows. Try not to let your shoulder heads move down. Uncurl your toes. Inhale up, low cobra. On this first low cobra, lift your hands. Elbows in and a little back. Now bring your hands down, and without pushing down, traction your hands towards the foot side of the mat. Keep that low belly pulled up, tailbone moving down. Exhale down. One more time on the breath, low cobra. So again, my hands are tractioning back more than pushing down. Exhale down. And I said one more time, but we're going to do one more. Inhale up, low cobra. Okay. So now to come out of it, we're going to reverse our push-up today. Uncurl your toes. It's not always the way we come out, but I want to teach keeping the low back long, right? So elbows in, elbows moving a little bit towards foot side of mat. Find that upper back, find that corset more importantly than anything. Pelvic floor, right? And then keep the knees down or not. Straighten the arms, but don't come up like a snake. Come up like a wooden plank. Exhale, back. Now, you've removed the blocks from one of the hands potentially. You can put them in if that's helping you find it. But again, bend the knees. Try to find a long line from your wrists to your shoulders to your hips. If you are a flexible body, be really cautious about your ribs dropping down, right? Pull the solar plexus towards the spine and keep spaciousness in the kidney band. Maybe the legs straighten a little bit, but not at the expense of the weight moving forward, the upper back rounding. Inhale. On an exhale, come up on your tippy toes, bend your knees. We're going to step our right foot forward as far as we can, and then our left. And you might have to do a couple little steps to get up to the top. Inhale, longest spine. Use this for core strength. Exhale, soften, especially that neck. Inhale, coming all the way up. And exhale, arms out and down. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Plant your hands, step back the other foot. I forgot to call it out. So if you know what that is, the other foot, your knees might come down. This time you might come down through a full push-up. But don't let your belly lead, right? Come forward on your tippy toes. Don't let your shoulders move down. Coming down through your push-up. Inhale, low cobra. If you want to look at upward dog, let's take a few moments. This is the last thing we're going to break down today. Find low cobra first, right? Tailbone moving down, belly pulling up, feet moving down, thighs getting buoyant. Pull those hands back, right? Now you've got an upper back bend. I'm pointing it out because a lot of us lose it right here. Now start to straighten the arms. My thighs do lift up because my feet are pushing down and my thighs are still buoyant. My tailbone is moving down, my belly is pulling up, and I see shoulders round forward all the time in this one. So bend the elbows a little bit, shoulder blades down the back, chest forward, re-straighten. If you're in your low back, get the hell out, right? Knees can come down for the transition. Pull the belly back, belly back, belly back. You might curl over your toes and move back. Breathe. If right now, I feel a spaciousness in my low back, right? Staying downward dog. But if you get that crushing sensation and you get here and it's like, whew, I needed that relief. Be so careful about your back bends while you're retraining your body for the core sit, namely, to support the low back so that you're keeping it long and you're bringing that back bend more into the upper back and even the mid back. Inhale. Exhale, come up on your tippy toes, bend your knees, step your left foot as far forward as you can.
And then you're right, pitter patter forward if you need to. Inhale, just forward, halfway up. Exhale, soften your. Inhale, any arm variation. Come on up. Arms down by the side. Pause, maybe close the eyes or mostly close. Where are you feeling this in your body? What felt sense of your body do you have? And if the mind is still quite busy, we can use those tools we have, right? Where's the weight of my feet? What's happening in my ankles? What do I notice in my knees? Are my thighs working? Where are my hips? Am I in an anterior tilt? Right? Etc. Bring those hands together in front of the chest. Inhale. Bow your head in on the exhale. Taking a moment of gratitude. Be grateful for at least one thing. Namaste, friends. And if I may say one more thing, right? One, again, longevity. If we're going to do this practice for a long time, just really be so cautious and careful with the sun salutations. And I don't mean everything you has to be like, oh, but make sure you're doing them with some integrity so that your body doesn't get a repetitive stress injury, especially when you're moving through push-ups and upward dogs and stuff. And then the other thing is as I was saying, it's like we train the brain, right? When I bring so many of these things up in class, part of it is safety for you, for sure, and accessibility. I could go into a myriad of reasons, but part of it is not that there's a perfect way to do this stuff, but when I bring your awareness to where your knee is over your ankle, where your hip is, what's happening with that muscle, with the shoulder, most of that is just keeping you incredibly present and in your body, right? Training that muscle, so to speak. So don't walk away thinking, oh, I wasn't doing it wrong. I'm not doing it perfect or whatever that is. Really just showing up and bringing your awareness and exploring and experimenting. And then we use discernment. Ooh, when I do that move, I actually hurt in my low back. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Or is there another way that I can support my low back so it doesn't hurt if I choose to do that, etc. Okay, my lecture's done. I love your business. Namaste.